let's get to the good stuff, right? The first two-ish games, the first two Eastern Conference games were not what I like to say high level entertainment. But then the Donovan Mitchell Bowl, the New York Knicks versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. That game was box office. This game's in Cleveland, but Spike Lee figures out a way to go bankrupt by getting courtside seats to this bad boy. He's looking great. I will say this, just the Knicks being in the playoffs is good for the NBA because those people are insane and they're the right type of insane fans. So I'm glad that the Knicks eked out a 101-97 victory over the Cleveland Cavaliers. This was in spite of Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell knowing the nuclear codes, going 14 of 30 from the field and dropping 38 points, 8 assists, only 2 turnovers. He was sensational. I'm not too concerned about Cleveland because they seemed intent on getting pretty good looks around the basket and just missing them. I just don't see that continuing all series. It wasn't like these were shots where it's like, oh, like hand in the face every single time. It was just missing pretty good shots. So that's kind of my takeaway is the Knicks won a game that the Cavaliers really dropped the ball on. And like one of the big advantages the Knicks had was like they really did well on the offensive glass. Cavaliers are a good defensive rebounding team. I always try to look in these single game things where it's like, what do I think is sustainable from it? What do I think is not? The Knicks, I think, got more offensive rebounds in this game than they're going to get in any other game of the series. They got lucky that the Cavaliers missed a lot of pretty good looks. And I think there's like, you play this game kind of the exact same like layout. 9 out of 10 times, I think the Cavaliers actually win this game, but good work by the Knicks getting it because they stole this game. And if you steal game one on the road, you have a chance to win the series. So this one is definitely kind of a toss up now.
Yeah. Let me say a few things about like, you don't want to overreact to one game, obviously, right? It's only one game, but I'm going to talk about the narratives and the questions that are going to emerge if the Knicks go on to win the series. Okay. The Cavaliers front court, I think is something that if the Cavs lose in the first round, it's something that people are going to start talking about. The spacing is quite poor, to be honest. The Cavaliers are poorly spaced. They're 5 and 4 are both interior guys that offer very little spacing. And I don't know if the pairing is going to be viable long term or not. It's interesting though because Mobley was getting bodied by what is like a big, strong Knicks front court, right? Like he was getting kind of pushed off his spots and stuff, and it kind of reiterated like this kid is still very much a sophomore. As incredible as he is, and as far ahead of schedule as he is, he needs to gain some bulk a little bit, or like change his body to an extent. And it's going to be interesting to see. Look, the Cavs are in an excellent position because they're a young contender, so you can't ask for more, right?
Yeah.
But and if they need to trade Jared Allen, they won't have a problem trading Jared Allen, right? Like that somebody is going to want a far above average interior defender and strong pick and roll finisher, so like it won't be a problem. But it could be that they have a short-term problem. It's going to be interesting to me. Defensively, the pair is fantastic, obviously perfect, right? But yeah, and if Mobley came out shooting 36% on decent quantity, volume, then maybe this can work. But he looks pretty far away from doing that, and I just don't know.
Yeah, I'm not like I just like looked at this game and it just really felt like to me like the Knicks won this game on the margins, and that was it. Like they were like 19 of 22 from the free throw line. The Cavaliers were 15 of 21, right? Like let's say the Cavaliers shoot a little bit better from the free throw line. Not impossible considering Mitchell and Darius Garland are going to be shooting them and they're good free throw shooters. The Knicks shoot a little bit worse. It's a 4-point game. They hit 2 more, they hit 2 less. That's a tie ball game, right? The offensive rebounding, I think, is like the big thing. Like if the Knicks can rebound like this against the Cavaliers, it's going to be a series because part of what made the Cavaliers defense so good is that they really, when you miss, you've missed. You're not getting another opportunity. And I just wonder, it's like, and that's even with their bench and support players, because I think that like outside of Mobley's poor shooting, their top four guys played pretty well, but everyone else played pretty poorly. And I don't know if the issue with the front court is going to be the spacing as much. I mean, maybe some of it is the spacing, but it's really, it's they have a good foursome, but it's 5 through 7 needs to play a bit better. Like Ricky Rubio played 5 minutes. I know he can't shoot, but like Ricky Rubio is one of these guys where like when he's on the court, good things tend to happen. Isaac Okoro, like I know his defense is good, but look, like you just can't play guys that are support players that can't hit threes, even when they're left completely wide open. So I just think it's one of these things where Cavaliers, like they're gonna need a fifth guy each game to step up, and they have like a few options to do it. But part of me just goes, this guy Kevin Love is hitting threes for the Miami Heat, and he was on your freaking roster.
Big mistake, honestly.
I just to me, if look, the Cavaliers had like the best bench in the league, and he was like surplus, different story. They have one of like the weakest benches in the league compared to their starting unit. Like that right there is tough. Okay, let's do some predictions here. Do you think the Knicks win this series? They stole home court.
Yeah.
You do.
I think I do, man. Look, the Knicks have the third offensive rating, as we talked about quite a bit in the NBA all season. Like this is a really good team. Like for me right now, also the Knicks just confuse me. I thought this team was gonna be trash this year. I didn't believe in Julius Randle. I didn't believe in Jalen Brunson, and I've been wrong about everything Knicks. So maybe I'm hedging my bets to a certain extent, and I'm just like, no, I'll always pick the Knicks. But they also like they're a more veteran team, with a more veteran coach. They stole game one. The Cavaliers might have some roster flaws that might get exposed against like a Tom Thibodeau defense. This is the guy that invented packing the paint, and this is a team that you'd want to pack the paint against because they don't really have a lot of shooting. It's gonna be interesting. I think I'll take the Knicks in 6. I picked Cavs. Like I tweeted my picks and I picked Cavs, but this game one win sways me. I understand the point too that like it happened on the margins, free throw discrepancy, etc. But I mean, what if they just win all the games on the margins? Like
I mean, yeah,
like
it is true. It's like the difference between a 4 and a 5 seed
yeah,
is
exactly.
usually marginal. Granted, the Cavaliers had an incredible net rating, but I think I messaged you this earlier. Donovan Mitchell has a habit of being on teams with incredible net ratings that kind of underperform their net rating during the regular season in terms of what you expect in the win-loss column. And then they get to the playoffs and they do not look like they're like a +6 net rating team or a plus
Yeah.
5.5. I'm not blaming Donovan Mitchell for that. I'm just saying it's a trend that has emerged that I think if we see it again next year, we have to like do a real investigation, being like, how the fuck does
No,
this
but
keep happening with this dude? And is it something he's doing, or is it just, hey, like the rosters he's been on have kind of led to this? But
well
I'm
here
sticking
look,
with Caps. I'm sticking with Caps.
yeah, respect. But let me say this about Mitchell. It's an interesting point. One similarity off the top of my head between those Jazz teams and this Cavs team is a drop big who's an excellent rim protector that can't really defend in space. Like, could it be that those archetypes just give you a bigger advantage against bad teams than they do against good teams?
Well,
And
it's certainly, yes. I think certainly, that makes sense because one of the things that makes a team good is like normally like what makes a good team good? They hit threes and they have ball handlers that can beat you at all three levels, right?
they have a
And
bunch
like,
of guys that can guard multiple positions.
yeah, yeah. And so like when you have a guy who's a drop coverage big, the whole thing you're doing is you're saying we're playing the math game. And what you're doing is you're playing the league wide math game,
Yeah.
right? And so you're gonna crush, you do well league wide, so your regular season defense is gonna look good. But like if you drop and that guy can hit, 50% of his pull up mid range jumpers or like, 45% even, that's like good enough to like eat into that efficiency and then start to drag you out. Because like what inevitably happens is even if you're super, super disciplined in your drop, watching shots go in, inches inches that drop closer and closer to the ball handler. Like it's human nature. You're watching the guy hit the shot. You're not just gonna be like, I can't keep giving him the shot.
On the
And
drop big. Yeah, no,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
So I think some of it is that, but also let's be realistic here, right? Like the fucking the Cleveland lost this game because they gave up an offense. They had an offensive rating of 106.7, right? They didn't get offensive rebounds, and like quite frankly, they didn't get to the free throw lines much. This was a rock fight. Like for the this is amazing to say that a game where the Knicks had 111 offensive rating was a rock fight, but like this was a modern day rock fight. Okay, it's going to be a slow drag them out series. Neither of these teams play very quickly. I just think at the end of the day, the difference in the series is going to be RJ Barrett still playing 30 plus minutes. And RJ Barrett is not good. He is just not good. Um, and I think that's just, like maybe Thibodeau makes the adjustment. I think fundamentally Cleveland is the better team. And
I
if
do.
they
I
can,
actually think I agree with that. Yeah.
and I just think like, look, like New York had a 38.6 offensive rebound percentage. Like, even if you kill them on the glass all series, you're not going to get close to 40% against that front line routinely,
But
right?
is that because Evan Mobley is a little bit easy for Mitch Robinson and Julius Randle to kind of box out and push around? I don't know.
I mean, maybe, but I'm saying,
Yeah,
like, my point is, like, let's say that's true. A 30% offensive rebounding rate would have like led the NBA this season, right? Like that,
right.
and the Cavaliers were really good at defensive rebounding, right? Like I just feel like that's an adjustment you can make to make sure that like even if they're good on the offensive glass compared to what you're used to, like they needed all of those offensive boards to win this game by 4, right? Like can they keep that up? I just don't see it. And that to me I think was the difference in the game is that like they just beat the shit out of them on the offensive glass. If they can do that all series, I'll give it to the Knicks. They probably can win it. But I just don't. I can't quit a team that was as good as the Cavaliers after one game, even though it was a pretty spectacular wasted Donovan Mitchell performance.